The Indian military has evolved from a small force, with limited warfare capabilities, to a vast and modern fighting machine, since independence. The organizational framework for conventional warfare or limited fights under nuclear overrank already exists, but it must be redesigned, re-equipped, and reoriented to conduct joint combat in digitized battlespace in order to have the flexibility required for other types of operations. India must prepare for militarily threats posed by China and Pakistan. India is confronted with a difficult strategic environment that stretches from the Western Pacific to the Indian Ocean region (IOR). China will continue to exert itself in the future, attempting to gain supremacy in the states surrounding India and the Indian Ocean region. China's People's Liberation Army Navy is increasing, and could soon constitute a significant threat to India, despite the fact that it is not yet mandatory. The Chief of the Military Staff, General Bipin Rawat, said that the armed forces must break their reliance on costly foreign weapon systems, and instead focus their full attention to ensuring that Make in India is more than a slogan. According to a research by the Congressional Research Service, India's reliance on Russian arms and equipment has decreased significantly, but the Indian military cannot function efficiently without Russian-supplied equipment and will continue to rely on its weapons systems in the near and medium term. For India, there is no other option but to build a robust domestic defense industrial base, and also needs to be proper prioritization of operational requirements. These are some of India's homegrown weapons programs that should be given top priority by the government. For the first time, India's unmanned combat air vehicle, subscale drone demonstrator has surfaced, revealing specifics of the flying wing design. The Swift unmanned aerial vehicle is being created as a proof of concept for the Gatik, a proposed production combat drone that is being developed primarily as an unmanned strike aircraft. The Swift, which stands for Stealth Wing Flying Testbed, displayed taxi trials of the demonstrator drone, which were most likely conducted at the Chitradurga Aeronautical Test Range in the southern state of Karnataka. The planned Gatik drone will be larger than the Swift, though it's unclear whether this is in terms of dimensions or weight. Preferably, the UCAVs will be pre-programmed to operate independently, while being watched by remote stations situated outside of the war zone. UCAV mission parameters can be changed on the fly, either by the UCAVs themselves, or by the ground stations. The UCAV's mission is completed when the payload is delivered, or the fuel load runs out, whichever happens first. However, due to fuel constraints, UCAVs are unable to stay on station for as long as they would want. Some manned aircraft can refuel while in flight, allowing them to increase their range and stay on station longer. The UCAVs will have a low radar signature, which will decrease probability of the aerial vehicles being detected by radar. Anti-radiation missiles are designed to detect, track, and neutralize an adversary's air defense systems by destroying radars, communication sites, and other radio frequency emitting targets, preventing surface-to-air missiles from being launched, and also increase the chances of survival for the following waves of strike aircraft. On October 9, 2020, the Rudram, new generation anti-radiation missile, was successfully launched. Rudram is the country's first indigenous anti-radiation missile, developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization for the Indian Air Force. Because the Su-30 Mki fighter jets are the IAF's largest fighter force, and have a carrying capacity second only to the newly inducted Rafales, the missile is fitted on them as the launch platform. The passive homing head can detect, classify, and engage targets over a wide band of frequencies as programmed. The missile is a potent weapon for IAF for suppression of enemy air defense effectively from large standoff ranges. According to report, the plan is to make the missile a part of the Air Force by 2022 after conducting 6 to 7 more tests. DRDO is planning to bring further software improvements to handle a larger variety of targets under various operational conditions, while developing a separate ground-based variant to be launched from mobile launcher. India has stopped cooperation with Russia on the controversial fifth-generation fighter aircraft program, or FGFA, which was expected to create an improved form of the equally troublesome Su-57 stealth fighter. India now developing its own fifth-generation fighter to complement IAF's Rafale, Sukhoi 30 MKI, and LCA Tejas. In the coming decades, the AMCA will form the backbone of the IAF. The Indian Navy's aircraft carriers, which currently fly the Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-29K, will get a naval version of the fifth-generation fighter. The importance placed by Air Chief Marshal Bhadauria on India developing its own fifth-generation stealth fighter means that the IAF will not consider any foreign-made fifth-generation fighter. The AMCA is expected to have twin engines with stealth capabilities. The aircraft must have a high degree of stealth, be able to carry weapons, both internally and externally, have internal fuel capacity, be able to super cruise, and perform both air-to-air and air-to-ground attacks, according to the IAF's air staff requirements for the AMCA, which were published in April 2010. The AMCA will primarily engage targets beyond visual range, and will be equipped with a strong thrust vectoring engine for superior maneuverability and dogfighting abilities. AMCA will be developed in two phases, with Mk1 and Mk2 variants, with the second variation being classified as a 5.5 generation fighter jet, because it will be the first to incorporate technology from both the 5th and 6th generation fighter jets. The AMCA Mk2 will not only receive new 110 kN thrust engines, but it will also be one of the first jets to incorporate artificial intelligence, which will not only assist the pilot in operational missions, but will also be capable of controlling fighter jets by performing auto take-off and landing features to reduce the pilot's workload. Mk2 will also receive an enhanced AI software that will not only scan an area when numerous enemies are present, but will also aid the pilot in selecting the high-risk priority target that must be engaged first. BrahMos, the world's fastest anti-ship cruise missile, is in the arsenals of India's three armed forces, Army, Navy, and Air Force. There are several versions of the BrahMos that can be launched from land, sea, through warships and submarines, and air by Sukhoi 30 fighter planes. BrahMos capabilities have been available to the Indian Navy and Army since 2005 and 2007, respectively. In 2019, it entered service with the Air Force. It is a two-stage missile, with ranges 290 kilometers, in the earliest versions, to around 400 kilometers, with the newer versions. The BrahMos A is a modified air-launched version of the missile, with a range of 500 kilometers, that may be deployed as a standoff weapon from a Sukhoi 30 MKI. It is poised to begin the final phase of flight testing, which will see the missile fired at a range of flying envelopes. Many changes were made to the missile to lower its weight to 2.55 tons, including utilizing a smaller rocket, adding fins for airborne stability after launch, and moving the connector. India must support and expedite the agreement to construct the ambitious BrahMos next-generation missile project, which has been conceived by the Indo-Russian joint venture as being lighter and smaller in both weight and size. BrahMos NG is a multi-platform, multi-target, lightweight missile system that is more versatile, extremely precise, lethal, and flexible. The smaller missile will fit in submarine torpedo tubes and a large number of aircraft platforms, including the MiG-29, Rafale, and Su-30 MKI in bigger numbers, with the same range and speed, about 3 Mach. The smaller version will appeal to a large portion of the Indian market, and have export potential. It will have the following major features: reduced size and weight, for general use. Advanced next-generation stealth. Enhanced ECCM, electronic countermeasure efficacy. Launch ready from torpedo tube and vertical position. The SAAW is a significant tactical weapon, which will fill a crucial capability gap in the indigenous military, once it is inducted. The weapon is intended to hit ground targets, such as enemy airfield infrastructure, or other strategically significant installations. It's a 125 kg smart weapon, with a range of 100 km, that can engage ground enemy airfield assets, like radars, bunkers, taxi tracks, and runways. When compared to a weapon system of the same class, the high-precision guided bomb is light. The Indian Air Force and the Defense Research and Development Organization successfully tested an indigenous smart weapon on Diwali Eve. At the moment, the SAAW can be launched from Jaguar and Sukhoi 30 Mki aircraft. Using an indigenous 4-round smart quad rack system, under its pylon, the Su-30 Mki is capable of carrying 20 to 32 SAAW. When it is inducted into the Indian Air Force, there are plans to integrate it with the Dassault Rafale and HAL Tejas Mk-1A.